Hey guys, welcome back to 1776 or Bust. So on the table, you see two guns that in my opinion, really are decent guns. Obviously, one I think is better than the other. However, I was watching my friend's video, KS Gun Guy, when he did his comparison. By the way, great comparison. One of the best videos I've seen, bar none, including my own. And he did a comparison between the VP9, the TP9 SF Elite and the PPQ. And, again, at the end of the video, he did say that the PPQ just slightly edged the Canik TP9 SF Elite. Now, you know what? KS and I are friends, but I'm going to tell him right now that he's crazy. Now, I'm going to tell you what my perspective is, and I'm not going to do any fancy editing. I'm not going to shoot anything. I'm just going to tell you basically from a table why I think the Canik is a good gun, but why I think the PPQ is still a hell of a better gun than this one. Now, first of all, I'm not going to go through weights. I'm not going to go through lengths. I'm not going to talk about trigger pulls and the poundage. I'm just going to tell you from my perspective why I think one is better than the other. Now, first off, let's start with the Canik. The Canik is a good gun. Now, I've had a lot of problems with this particular model. It's been very well documented on my YouTube channel, and if you want to waste your time, you can go back and watch all those videos. However, after it came home finally from the factory being repaired, I've had no further issues with it. No ejection problems, no malfunctions, nothing. So I've been extremely pleased with this gun. It performs the way that it was advertised finally. Now, with that said, what are the features about the gun that I think are really good? Well, first of all, you can't knock the price. The price is fantastic on this gun. Right now you can find them for $400, even sometimes a little bit lower than that, depending on where you go. Now, of course, if you say, where am I finding that? You know what, guys? All you got to do is Google it, go on Gunbroker, go on, grab a gun, whatever, and just look around and you'll find good deals. They're out there. Now, of course, what are some of the other things that are a benefit to this handgun? Well, first of all, the price is excellent. We all know that. Secondly, what you're getting for the gun and the price that you're paying for it is also excellent. You're getting a very nice Cerakoted finish, this tungsten grayish color. It's just really nice, a nicely finished gun. The surface is kind of abrasive, but not too harsh. You do come with your basically your Warren tactical sight rear, and of course on the front it had the fiber optic, which I swapped out. And again, if you need to know, this is actually a Smith & Wesson M&P front sight from Ameriglow, and that's what actually fits for the gun. Now again, you do have that Warren tactical with the U-notch, and I did get a little dig on it. Whoopsie. And again, very nice sight picture, no issues with it, and it shows up perfectly. Now, in regards to the trigger's great. By the way, guns are all safety checked. It's always done before the videos. There's nothing in the magazine or nothing in the magwell, and of course nothing in the chamber. But the trigger is very good. Now, is it as good as a PPQ? Nah, I don't think so. Now, it might be lighter than a PPQ, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's better. And what I mean by that is you have a little bit more take up in the trigger of this, the Elite, but I will tell you, it's a very, very nice wall. And as soon as you hit that, there is absolutely no play in it, and then it breaks. So the trigger is extremely crisp. Again, is it better than the PPQ? I don't really think so. I think it's close, but I still don't think it takes the cake with the trigger. Now, poundage-wise, it might be lighter. The shape of the trigger, I will tell you, is better because it's a lot flatter than a PPQ trigger. But other than that, I still don't think it's any better than, I still don't think it's better than the PPQ. Again, in regards to ergonomics, everybody that I've ever known who has owned one of these loves the ergos on the PPQ. Now, are these ergonomics good on the Canik? Yes, they're pretty darn good. Are they the best? Nah, I don't think so. And I'm going to tell you why. First of all, the shape of the grip isn't going to be for everybody. It's a little thicker. It's not as rounded. You don't have that big hump in the back. Now, of course, you can adjust the back strap, but I just felt the back strap, the larger one on here, was just making it a little bit too big and a little bit more uncomfortable to shoot the gun. One of the other things that I find that I don't like about the gun, but is not going to be a game changer or a killer on the deal if you choose to buy one, is I just feel like they just put too much polymer in the back here. If they would have slimmed it down a little bit more, I think it would have fit a little bit better in here. Sometimes I have to adjust my grip when shooting it because if I don't, this polymer actually bangs into my thumb knuckle, which, when I'm shooting, I don't really care. But afterwards, I do notice I get a little bit of an abrasion back there from that. So for me, definitely could have changed it, maybe swoop it up a little bit more. But again, is it horrible? No, it's actually pretty good. But is it good as a PPQ? Nah, no, it's not. Again, the serrations, I have to tell you, I like the serrations on this gun. The serrations are a little bit deeper than the PPQ. Do I think they're better than the PPQ? Well, guess what, guys? In this case, yes, I do. I think these serrations are a little bit easier to manipulate on the slide, and even if you do the press check in the front, it's still easier there as well than on the PPQ. Takedown is I think pretty standard. Obviously, you just have to pull it halfway, and then it comes off halfway, and you pull the slide off. I think it's pretty unique. I think it's pretty handy. I think it's easier than most of the other takedowns on other firearms, and I actually like it. So I think they have the advantage on that. Although, again, most guns, it's not that difficult to take down the slide. Now, getting to the PPQ. Well, I mean, obviously this is a tungsten gray, so I will tell you that the first thing I have to say that I like about the gun is the color. The color's great. It's a nice tungsten gray. Again, if you compare it to the Canik, this one's a little bit grayer, this one's a little bit lighter, but the color's awesome. It's fantastic. The surface is a little bit of abrasiveness to it. Not too harsh, very similar to the Canik actually, more so than the FDE one, which I have. Obviously, one of the other things that is phenomenal about this is going to definitely be the trigger. Now, of course, on the trigger on this, it's a little bit different because you have a little bit more curve in the trigger, but let's see what it looks like. Again, gun has been cleared and safety checked before the video. Now, of course, there's your take-up. So in my opinion, the take-up is slightly shorter than the one on the Canik. Now, is it dramatically shorter? No, it's not, but it is still slightly shorter. Now, even with the wall, when you get to that wall, there is no play in this trigger. Now, I know somebody has said a couple of times there's a little bit of mush in the PPQ trigger. I still have no idea what anybody's talking about with that. Again, the trigger is extremely clean. Here's your wall. There's your break. Now, the break point from where you feel it to where that trigger goes is extremely short. I still think there's a little bit more travel in the trigger when you break it through and, to shoot the gun. Now, of course, the resets, which I should have done, the reset on the PPQ is very short, very forceful, pushes your finger forward, and again, it just lands in such a perfect area that there's very little to no effort to pull that trigger. So again, to me, guys, this is still the best trigger out there. Now, I know some people have been messaging me about the P10, but again, I haven't shot the P10, so I don't really know. Now, of course, this is the reset on the Canik, so it's short. It is very short. It just feels that the PPQ is a little bit smoother of a reset. Again, when you pull the trigger into the second shot, I would tell you it seems, again, a little bit more trigger travel for this one than the actual PPQ. Again, nothing wrong with the Canik trigger. I think it's a very good trigger. I just think the PPQ is better. Again, one of the things that I have to tell you that the Canik definitely has over the PPQ are the stock sights. The stock sights that came with this one were the fiber optics with the Warren Tactical U-notch in the rear. This one are your typical terrible plastic Walther sights, and I really want to get rid of them. I'm trying to figure out what I want to put on them, and at some point I will do that. But the sights are terrible. I hope Walther one day will change this, but I guess they realize that a lot of people want their own sights, so they go out and buy them themselves. So why should they? Now, one of the things that also I think this gun reigns supreme, especially over the Elite, is definitely going to be the ergonomics. I still have yet to find a gun that's as ergonomically sound as the PPQ. The VP9 is very close. Again, I own one of those, but I have to tell you the PPQ, in my opinion, is still better. Again, just the way it holds into the hand, it just melts in your hand. It really is amazing. Now, of course, if you want to compare the rear to each gun, you'll see what I was talking about earlier. The PPQ just sits a little bit better in the hand because of the width of the back of the Canik. Now, of course, if Canik would have trimmed this down a little bit to the same width as this gun would have felt as good in my hand as this one did. Again, not as ergonomic maybe in the grip, but still more comfortable in the tang of my hand right here, or the meat fat or the hand fat of my hand. So what you want to understand is that ergonomically this gun is better. Trigger-wise, it's better. Fit and finish, in my opinion, is still better. Again, I have countless Walthers. I have probably too many Walthers. But what I have to tell you is that I've never had any issues with them. They've all been performing flawlessly, whether I have 10 rounds through them or 1,000 rounds through them. They've never, ever had any issues with them at all. Again, fit and finish is excellent on the Walther. I still think it's slightly better than the Canik, obviously because of the track record I had with it. However, again, you're going to probably pay excuse me, close to $600, if not a little bit more. It depends where you go, but close to $600 for this, where you can find this for three and change. So again, you're going to have to pick and choose. Overall, I still think they're both really good guns. But I gotta tell you guys, the PPQ is still supreme. So I hope you guys have a great night. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't. Give us a thumbs up, please. We always appreciate that. And as always, everyone, freedom is never free.